What's up, guys? It's Aaron from Aaron's Reviews and More, back with another review. So, today we're reviewing Kodiak Wintergreen pouches. Now, Kodiak is not a brand I have a lot of experience with. I've had Kodiak straight like probably 7 years ago, maybe. I enjoyed it then. I'm sure I would enjoy it now. I've not had any of their wintergreen products. So we're going to get into this review and see how it goes. It is out of date, but as I've said in reviews prior, that pouches really don't matter unless they're like horrendously out of date. So this should be just fine, I assume. Really like the new can design. The bear in the mountains there looks really good with the kind of wood background there. And then the premium wintergreen pouches along the top. Gold rim. It says manufactured American Snuff Company, Nashville, Tennessee. American Snuff Company. And branding. Warning. Nothing really to speak up there. And then background. So, let's get into this and see how it goes. Really easy to open this can. It's kind of a papery band, so very easy to open. And there we go. It says, it's good to be the king. That's their thing, KodiakKing.com. I wouldn't call you guys the king. You might be the most expensive. Doesn't mean you're the best. So, it's a very dark smelling wintergreen. There's a definite tobacco undertone to it, which I like. It's not registering as a sweet wintergreen, though. As you can tell, with American Snuff Company, their pouches are brown. That's not staining. They just are brown. So, they typically, one thing I noticed about American Snuff Company in the past is they don't have a seam. They overlap and seal. Now, in my previous job, I worked for a good 10 years plus, we made a lot of snacks. And, kind of with chip bags, they have no seam, but there is some snacks that have a fin on the back. And it's just how it's sealed. You can fold over a seam and seal on both sides, or you can just, fold over and seam through, if that makes sense. So that's looked like what they do here is they just seal through, and you can kind of see those dotted lines, and that's indicating the heat sealer on this pouch. It feels very soft, very good. It's a little tacky to the touch. I can't really tell how moist it is because these pouches, I've always found it quite hard with this material. But let's put it in. So the last, I'm trying to think what the last American Snuff Company pouch I've had that this reminds me of. Would have been Grizzly. It's a mint. I can't remember. Grizzly mint. Can't remember. I had a mint, not that. I had a couple cans of mint that I got, and it's very similar as far as feel and all that. Obviously, it doesn't taste the same because it's wintergreen, but I'm gonna actually pause for 1 second, and I'm back. So I wanted to see what it was. It was Grizzly Mint pouches. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but this I'm enjoying. I did have to give a little extra moisture to get the juice flowing because it is a little out of date, but it's not like the tobacco tastes dry or feels dry in the lip. So it has that same background taste I got with the Grizzly Mint pouches, where there's the tobacco flavor, and then there's the flavoring, and then there's this little hint of sourness that kind of comes in there also. And I'm not sure if it's just the alkalizers in it, or maybe there's something they add to their wintergreen and mint pouches that is consistent amongst American Snuff. I'm not getting a burn. You probably would though with long cut. Very soft, but nothing really spectacular or noteworthy. I recently was dipping some Copenhagen wintergreen pouches, and I prefer those. I do like the Copenhagen wintergreen a little better. It has a little sweeterness to it, which I prefer in a wintergreen. I wouldn't call this sharp. But it's not sweet. It's not sweet. But overall, it's a solid product. I don't think Kodiak is worth what I'm sure some of you Americans pay for Kodiak. As a Canadian, there's some pros and cons. The cons is I pay for any dip $13, $14 CAD, which is about, I would say, $10, $9-10 American, which isn't, for some states, that's probably not terrible. That's the con. The pro is, regardless of brand, it's the same. For, let's say Kodiak Wintergreen, I would pay the same price as I would for a Longhorn product or a Kayak product even. It's the same. So if you prefer quality products, you don't have to pay higher prices. And I prefer Copenhagen. Skoal is my secondary go-to. I've never been a big American Snuff guy. Never been a big fan of just all the tobacco has this same kind of flavor profile to it, even regardless whether it's straights, wintergreen, mints. I don't even think I've had a natural from American Snuff Company. I'm still kind of newer to naturals. Really enjoying the Copenhagen natural right now. Really did not enjoy the Stoker's natural. But yeah, I've just never been a big fan of American Snuff Company. I never felt they were a solid competitor to US Smokeless in any way, shape, or form. But that's just my bias. There's Grizzly guys out there that are diehard Grizzly guys. I've heard some good things about Grizzly's snuff. Haven't tried it myself, but so yeah. I don't know how many of my subscribers or viewers here dip pouches. I use them for work, or I use them to, have a dip when my mouth is a little, I've dipped a little too much that day. It's always easier on the grill. Or if I just want a little bit, but I don't want to, it's very hard for me to put a small pinch of long cut in. I always feel like it has to feel a certain way, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. But yeah, nothing to complain about. I definitely prefer this over the Grizzly Mint as far as an American Stuff product, by far. But I prefer Copenhagen Wintergreen pouches over these. So if you're into wintergreen and you're into pouches, this is definitely something worth trying out. The can design, like I said, is really awesome. I don't like their date code system. I heard that American Stuff Company has upgraded their date code system so that it says Best Buy or Sell By. I think it's Best Buy, actually, which is, people have been asking for at least 10 years, probably 20. So it gets rid of the anonymity, and it doesn't enable shopkeepers to knowingly stock out-of-date products and just continue to sell them to their customers. So that's the true benefit of it. So but yeah, solid product. Happy with it. May purchase this again. But all in all, that is my review of Copenhagen Wintergreen pouches. Sorry for the bouncing table a little bit. I didn't set up my phone very well, I guess. But yeah, this is Aaron from Aaron's Reviews and More. Talk to you soon.